Okay, everybody, welcome to Cooking with Joel. Today we're making a phenomenal beef stroganoff for dinner. Let's get to it. I've got about 2 pounds of chuck roast, or it is sometimes also known as pot roast, that I cubed into little chunks, and I seasoned them with pepper. I've done this about a half an hour before I have started the Instant Pot, and I'm going to show you my Instant Pot. My Instant Pot is on and it is ready to go. Now, if you do not have an Instant Pot but do have a pressure cooker, you can also do this in the pressure cooker. It's going to be a little bit different to do it in a pressure cooker versus the Instant Pot. If your pressure cooker has a saute feature, turn it onto the saute and hit the start button. To this, you're going to need a little olive oil, and I'm going to grab some butter. You're going to also need butter, and I'm also going to get the mushrooms out. Oh, I've got my mushrooms. If you're vegetarian, this first step you're not going to do. What we're going to do is we're going to brown our meat. And I'm going to show you also the vegetarian version of this. Although this is not going to be vegetarian, I'm going to teach you how to do a meatless version of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. It may sound like a lot, and I'm going to kind of show you, tip you over, so you can see that's my olive oil. I'm actually going to put a little bit more. You just want to cover. I use a really good olive oil that's imported from Italy. You can use any type of olive oil. Just make sure that it's extra virgin olive oil that you're using. And to that, I'm going to use 1/2 stick of butter, and I'm just going to put it in the Instant Pot. As the Instant Pot starts heating, you're going to notice that your butter and your oil are going to heat up. And I'm going to kind of turn you and show you that the butter is starting to melt. Also for this, you are going to want... Find it. Nope. You're going to want a flat paddle or wooden spoon will work well in this. You just want to get your butter all nicely melted and heated up before you add the meat. Now, again, like I said, if you're vegetarian and want to do this first step, ignore. You're going to do something else that I'm going to show you after I've browned my meat, what you would want to do if you're going to make a meatless version of the stroganoff. And you can kind of see, you can see the steam coming out of my Instant Pot, but you can also see my butter is starting to melt and I'm accumulating bubbles. Which is good. Okay, now we're going to add our meat. And what you want to do with the meat is you just want to brown it. You don't want to cook it because it's going to cook later on. So we're just going to put all of our meat. Don't worry about the bowl. Keep the bowl on the side because you're going to need it again. And again, you're only going to do this for a few short minutes. You're just going to brown the meat. You're not going to cook it. So depending on how much meat, and I'm going to tip you over so you can see my meat is now added, you just want to get the meat a little bit brown, and I'll kind of, as this goes, if I can get, okay, show you. You see how the meat is starting to brown. That's what you want to do. Again, you don't want to cook it. You just want to brown it on all sides for about 2 to 3 minutes. If you're using less meat, you're going to go with less time because, again, you just want to brown it. You're not cooking your meat all the way through. That's going to be later on as we do this. And give your meat a really good stir. Once your meat is starting to look like this, what you're going to do, if you have a slotted spoon, or you could use a sieve. I use the slotted spoon because it's easy. This is why I said the bowl. No, don't wash the bowl. You'll put your meat back in the bowl. And again, if your meat is got red on it or is very red, that's fine. You can have red meat. Again, we're not cooking this meat all the way through at this point. Put your meat off to the side. So as you can see, some of my meat is really still raw. And that is fine. That's what you want to do because there is going to be a cooking point for that. With the other half of the stick of butter, throw it back in your Instant Pot. And make sure you scrape the bottoms to get the nice little brown tidbits off. Off the bottom. That'll actually flavor your next part. Now, if you're vegetarian, of course, you're not going to do this. If you're vegetarian and you're making a meatless version of this, add 1 stick of butter. And now you're going to add your onions. This was an entire onion. I may not use all of this because this is a lot of onions. Use a half an onion. If you're not fond of onions, you can always decrease the amount. And I'm just going to actually go ahead because we do like onions. I'm just going to add them all into the Instant Pot. And what you want to do is you just want to get your onions to be translucent. Like a translucent color. Takes maybe about 4 to 5 minutes for that to happen. All the while scraping the bottom so that if you use the beef, you're getting the beef bits off of the bottom and into your onions. If you're doing a vegetarian, you're getting the brown butter, so your butter is not burning. And you just want to sweat the onions. And I diced my onions. You can certainly leave them, if you don't want to dice them, you can definitely leave them in little chunks. Just keep in mind you're going to have a big chunk of onion in your stroganoff, and sometimes it's easier if you do dice them, but they don't have to be thinly diced. So my onions are going in there. They're starting to get translucent in color, and that's all you want to do. You do not want to brown the onions. You just want to kind of sweat them And I'm scraping the bottom. And to this, we're going to add 1 16-ounce package of sliced mushrooms. Now, if you're not a fan of mushrooms, you can cut the mushrooms in half and use an 8-ounce package. Or you can also leave them out if you don't want to do mushrooms. If you're going to do a vegetarian or a meatless version of this, you could definitely use squash. Put that in now. You could add in almost any vegetable you want to this mixture. And what we're going to do is we're going to work our mushrooms for a little bit. And sometimes at this point what I do is I'll look at how much liquid is on the bottom and whether or not I want to add more butter. If you're using a lot of vegetables, you might need a second stick of butter. And I'm going to only use half of the second stick. I'm going to throw that right in the Instant Pot, and I'm going to I'm going to leave you guys up, and I'm actually going to kind of angle you guys over a little bit so you can see what's going on. You might not be able to see me, but you'll hear me. So you're just going to give this a stir, let your butter get to the bottom. Make sure your onions are not stuck to the side, which sometimes happens. And you're just going to let your mushrooms sweat a little bit. And my butter is melting. You don't want your mushrooms to brown. You want to keep them kind of on the whole side. I'm going to see if I can... There we go. That way you can see kind of my mouth. But now you can't see the stroganoff. So that's not going to work. Put you down a little bit. Okay. So you're going to let this go for a couple of minutes. I'm going to stop the video because it's getting on the long side right now. I'll pick it right back up in a second.